Hello, scholars. Time for our next math lesson. Go ahead and start, as always, by putting your name and number in the upper corner of your paper, please. We're in Module 2 still, but we're getting pretty close to the end. We're almost done. Module 2 notes. All right. For today, we're going to move on. I don't have to write lesson. Who's got room for that anyway? This is Module 2, Lesson 23. 23 lessons. This is kind of a lot. So, the Roman numeral will be 10, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay? So, Lesson 2-23. Pretty similar to 2-22, we're just going to continue with our division. Numbers are going to get a little bit bigger. In fact, that's what we will title this, Estimating and Dividing with greater numbers. Okay. Estimating and dividing with greater numbers. This is not going to be dramatically different than what we've been doing, other than they're going to be a little longer. Go ahead and see if I can bring some light on that. All right. We've been talking a lot about dividends, divisors, and quotients, so I'm going to trust that you have that vocabulary. If you need to refer back to a previous lesson, please do. But for now, we're diving directly into the procedure. And the procedure is not terribly different. Step 1, and I know that this has been challenging for some of us, but I really do want to keep practicing. For step 1, I want to estimate the quotient. And when you're estimating a quotient, when you're dealing with division, you really want to do your best to use compatible numbers. So for the example I have here, let's say 8,037 divided by 77. Okay. I start the same way I've been starting. I look at the divisor. 77, I would round that the way I normally would. Round to the nearest 10, the greatest place value. Look next door, neighbor says, hey, I'm 5 or more, you must soar. So 77, give myself plenty of room, 77 will become 80. Okay. Now, at this point, I have one non-zero digit, 8. I compare that to the first digit in the dividend, 8. Well, okay, if they're the same, then I'm just going to leave it. I will round this to 8,000. Now for this one, if I was rounding to the nearest 1,000, I would round to 8,000 anyway. But even if this was 8,637, 8,937, even if it would normally round up, I am going to kick it over to 8,000 because 8,000 is super easy to divide by 80. 8 divided by 8 is 1. Then I take a look at my zeros and I make some pairs. Okay, 0 in the ones place, 0 in the ones place. 0 in the tens place, no more zeros. So the 2 that remain, I cannot pair these up. This is a 0 in the tens place, this is a 0 in the hundreds. They're not the same. I know, it seems silly, but I can't pair them up. I just have to slide them over here. And I get an estimate of about 100. So, when I do my division, 8,037 divided by 77, my answer should be fairly close to 100. Okay. Like I always say, it's never going to be exactly 100, but it should be close. All right, step 2. For step 2, we are going to write the problem vertically. write the problem vertically, and begin dividing. I don't know if you can hear all those voices outside, but it sounds like a lot of excited students. They must really be enjoying math. Write the problem vertically and begin dividing, starting at the left. Starting at the left. There we go. Starting at the left. So down here, I have our division hut, our division symbol. The number that goes inside is always the first number in the expression, always the dividend. 8, 0, 3, 7. On your graph paper, make sure every digit is in a box. Graph paper is vital for division. Dividing by 77 means 77 goes out here. Part of me wishes we had our notes on graph paper, but I think for notes that might be a little bit much. Okay, now, I don't know exactly what this quotient is going to be. That's why I'm going to divide, obviously. But I can use the estimate, so use your estimate. Use your estimate to start the quotient. Use your estimate to start the quotient. So the 100 that we got up here, okay, the 100 that we got up here, I am going to mentally put up here. I'm going to say 100. Okay. So 0, 0, 1. Now we've talked enough about estimates to know that this will not always work. But if I take a little piece of paper, cover up the rest of the problem, and do what we've been doing in class, 77. What is 8? Get rid of little notes there. What is 8 divided by 77? I can't do that. If I have 8 remote controls, I cannot pass them out to 77 people. I don't know why I would do that anyway. I cannot do that. So we put a 0 here. 77 will go into 80 one time. So my estimate was pretty close. 1 times 77 is what I'm going to do. In fact, I'll do it right now. 1 times 77. We go ahead and subtract. 0 minus 7 is, well, not happening. So I'll borrow. 10 minus 7 is 3. 7 minus 7 is nothing. So I'll just leave it alone. Now, obviously, there's more to do. But to get yourself started, use your estimate. Use your estimate to start the quotient. Okay. If that estimating step is frustrating, is frustrating, you can do it the other way with the paper. But I am going to keep talking about estimating because it is a skill I'd like you to get used to using. Once you master it, once you start feeling good about it, I think you'll find it really comes in handy. But don't let it be a stumbling block either. Don't let it be a big problem for you. All right, step 3. For step 3, we'll just go ahead and finish this thing. Bring down the next digit and repeat. Bring down the next digit and repeat. Okay. Now, I know you folks don't care for me doing this, but I'm going to rewrite the problem. Okay. I'm going to rewrite the problem. Again, I want to make sure there's plenty of room. I want you to be able to see the differences from step to step. 8037 divided by 77. But obviously we can go a little faster because we've already done part of this. Okay. Will 77 go into 8? It will not. Will 77 go into 80? One time. And again, 100 was our original estimate. So putting the 1 there should come pretty naturally off of the estimate, and it matches up with what we're doing here. 1 times 77 is 77. When I subtract that from 80, I end up with 3. Okay, that's what we had before. So I go over one more column, just one, and I bring down the 3. And I ask, will 77 go into 33? 33, if I have 33 erasers, but I have to give them out to 77 friends, I don't have enough. 77 will go into 33 0 times. Now, ultimately, you don't usually have to do this, but I'm going to run through the whole process just so we get that practice. 0 times 77 is 0. 33 minus 0 is 33. Slide over, drop down the next one. 337. Now that, yikes, that's a big one. 77 will go into that, sure. But how many times? We can do this a couple different ways. If we look at the 77 and round it up to, say, 80. Counting by 80s is a little tricky. But again, if you can think of 8s, that might help a little. If I have one of them, that's 80. If I have 2, that's 160. If I have 3, that's 240. If I have 4, that's 320. Okay, 320 is pretty close. If you're having trouble visualizing that, okay. Again, there are other ways that we can use estimation to guide you. It's off the page a little bit. Okay. Think about the 337 that we have down here. I am dividing 337 divided by 77. Now that's approximately equal to 77. We already talked about how that would be about the same as 80. And then I focus on the 8. And I focus on the 3. Will 8 go into 3? No, 3 is too small. Will 8 go into 33? Yeah, not evenly. But again, if I check my 8 facts, 8 times 1 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 3 would be 24, times 4 would be 32. I can round 337 to 320 because 32 can easily be divided by 8. 32 divided by 8 is equal to 4. Now that is very similar to what I was doing over here. I know for some students writing it out like this is helpful. For other students writing it out like this is a little more complicated. You choose the strategy that works for you. Ultimately, if you just need to start picking numbers, 5 times 77, 4 times 77, 2 times 77, do that. Work it out. For me, because I've practiced, estimation is a little bit easier. And again, I can just take this right up here and drop it into my quotient. 4 times 77, well, 4 times 7 would be 28. Carry the 2, kind of imagine that sitting right up there. 4 times 7 again is 28 again, plus 2 would be 30. Okay. 4 groups of 77 would give me 308. I am going to remove that. I'm going to subtract that from the 337. Requires a little borrowing, but nothing we can't handle. 2 minus 0 is 2. 3 minus 3 is nothing. Now there's nothing else to bring down. A lot of you remember when we worked with decimals, we added the invisible decimal and the 0 and brought that stuff down, and that's so fantastic. I'm so glad, folks. Thank you. But for right now, for Module 2, all we're going to do is write the remainder, and that will be step 4. Step 4, record your answer. Now, I'll include this part as well, but of course it's not always going to be necessary, usually on the ones we're doing, but not always. If there is a remainder, please make sure you record that as well. That is part of your answer. So the original problem, 8,037 divided by 77 is equal to 104 remainder 29. Seems like a big remainder, but it is smaller. It is smaller than the divisor, so that's okay. And if you go way back to the first step and think about our estimate, 104 is pretty close to 100. Okay. I know it's 4 away, but that's not bad. When you're getting in triple digits, 3-digit numbers, that's fine. All right. As I have been doing lately, I am going to leave you with some examples for you to work on. We'll go over these in class. First example, 3,796 divided by 78. Get yourself some graph paper, or you can work this out on the back page on the opposite side of these notes, but go ahead and work that out. And then for your other problem, 6,725 divided by 46. Go ahead and find answers for both of those. We'll talk about them in class and we'll do some more practice. Again, I'm really hoping that this looks a lot like what we've been doing. You're just adding another digit on. Instead of the dividend being 3 digits, now it's 4. And 4 is about as high as we will go in 5th grade. Obviously, it goes much bigger, but for 5th grade, 4 digits will do. All right, division tends to be a little long. That's why they call it that. So this video is a little long. We'll cut it here. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, bring them to class. I will see you there. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.